Namaste everyone and welcome to our edition of Phenomenal Woman. As you know, we are featuring phenomenal women of Guyana during this Navaratri program, and we're sharing it on our social media so you can learn more about these influential women in Guyana. Today I'm happy to announce that we have with us Honorable Minister of Human Services, none other than Dr. Vindhya Vasini Persaud. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for accepting to do this interview with us. I know you wear many caps. I know you're also the president of the Guyana Hindu Dharmic Sabha. You're a medical doctor, you're a politician, and you're a minister since 2020. So thank you so much. I'd like to begin by asking the first question, and I'd like to find out from you, how do you see the role of spirituality in empowering women and fostering community during this Navaratri period?
Thank you very much, Narda, for having me on the program, and thank you to the High Commission for organizing this. Navaratri is very, very special to any Hindu woman. It's 9 nights dedicated to the worship of Hon'ble Durga, and Hon'ble Durga has within its construct the manifestations of Adi Shakti, the feminine energy of God, which is who and how we are worshipping during this period. And when we look at the manifestations, I think it helps us to connect even better, because every manifestation, starting with Shailaputri and ending with Siddhidatri, reminds us how important it is for us to have within ourselves the kind of energy, the kind of mental mindset, and also our entire representation as a woman should be one that is empowering to ourselves as much as we try to empower others. So Shailaputri is Shail means mountain, Putri means daughter. But while we say that, the symbolism of it is important. It reminds us to be steadfast. It reminds us to always reach the zenith of anything that we're doing. And as we move through, there are many things that we learn through the period. How we should be fearless, fierce or courageous, how we must always advocate for justice, how we must be able to be disciplined in our approach to anything, and how we must never ever shy away from being persevering in whatever goal we are trying to attain. And the last form is Siddhidatri, that reminds us, I think, of the most important message that we have within ourselves, unlimited capacity and potential. And if we are truly to be a representation of Shakti, which is inherent within us, we must always never limit ourselves, starting from the way we think and the way in which we navigate challenges, leading to a point where we can surmount them, or the way in which we can help others to surmount their own difficulties and to find themselves and their purpose in life. So I think Navaratri, with that kind of spiritual connect, is personally empowering, and also by having many women in the satsangs, where personally I go and I share many of these thoughts like I'm sharing with you. I would like to think that some of it resonates deeply with women, speaking fundamentally to their self-esteem, their self-worth, and their resilience in the face of adversity, and also speaking to how they should never tolerate things like abuse and violence, because if we as Hindus are going to spend 9 nights and we're worshiping God as a feminine energy or in a feminine form, why on earth should we see cases of femicide, cases of violence against women and girls, when inbuilt in our dharma is ahimsa or non-violence, and also respect for women? So in all of this, it has to start with women respecting themselves, having that level of dignity, self-preservation, and importantly, that understanding that they are not only enough, but more than enough. So I would like to think your question of how do we starts with self. And then by sharing all of these messages in communities, it fosters that sense of community among the women, where they understand to have all of these elements, one should not do the walk alone. One should network and have the support in all that they do.
Definitely, Minister. Thank you so much. And I want to ask you, what are some of the challenges you faced that you would like to share with us, and how did you manage to overcome them?
I think in everyone's life, at many points in their lives, there are challenges. So that's the first thing. Many people will look at anyone who has succeeded or achieved or accomplished and think that it might not have been as difficult for them. And I think seeing it, like I'm going to say it, in fact, I found myself in many environments that are not conventional. Let us look at being the president of the Guyana Hindu Dharmic Sabha. I was elected, not selected. And in being elected, not once, but more than once, it put me in an arena that was very male dominated.
Mm-hmm.
And being the way I am, it was really leading and giving the opportunity to those around me, especially women, to see that this is entirely possible. So that's one. And also dealing with sometimes the resistance to a woman being in leadership positions. One where never before there was a female heading any Hindu organization in Guyana, and perhaps never any religious organization in Guyana, if I venture to say that. So it came with all of these challenges, and I think being able to see the bigger picture and sitting at the vantage point where I exercised maturity in my thinking and looked at all the ways in which I could be inclusive and also take people along a journey where I didn't just see myself distant from them, but being very involved in the process helped me through that challenge. But it was not an easy one to overcome. Why her? She's not a pandit. She's not any of these things, but yet there she is. So there was that. Earlier in my life, I was one of two females on the surgery ward, and then later the only one on the surgery ward.
Wow.
And this came after successfully rising to the top of my class in surgery when I graduated, choosing to do that and choosing to stay in that department and being surrounded by males. And of course, the question I was asked pointedly by a consultant, why do you think you fit in here? This is a man's world. And many times having to work harder, having to prove my mettle, and having to do so much more. But it should not have been. It should have been an equal space. But it was where I was. And then of course, a political path where many strong women have ventured before me. And you are always having the challenge of people making the comparison, the gender comparison. And it is something I feel that as women, we should never seize the opportunity to, I would say, diminish any person, especially if a woman is making a contribution. Never diminish it, but rather recognize it and also celebrate it. And make sure that you see it as a door opening for more women out there, because someone has gone there before.
Yes.
And of course, there are many, many challenges stepping into new environments and having to learn immediately, having to come up with solutions to complex issues, and having, many people will say, balancing all the things that I do. I don't see that as a challenge though, and I'm only saying it because many people see it as a challenge. I see it as something where I can grow and where it allows me to time manage more effectively, and it also allows me to be able to be in many things and understanding all of these things are interrelated, and how with their interrelatedness and their interconnectivity you can come up with one solution that really touches all of them. And while I've listed the main challenges, of course, like everyone else, there are challenges in everything that people do, and their daily challenges. I mean, when you sit in any position of leadership or authority, there are expectations, many of them unrealistic, many of them so much that it is impossible for any one person to deliver. So it is dealing with those expectations, tempering those expectations, and also in the midst of those expectations, trying to deliver solutions, programs, initiatives, and all of these things to cater for what it is that would be considered very needed out there. So in 24 hours, every person has that level of challenges, some of us more than others, But the message in whether or not I have had a challenge is to tell people, when you have a challenge, don't see it as a limitation. See it as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and also an opportunity to find within yourself something that you never looked for before. A strength that you may have had there, or also a solution that you can come up that has not only the immediate benefit to that challenge, but beyond that challenge. Many people see challenges as things that cause them to crumble. I don't see it that way. I see it as something that you can bounce back from, and something that you can look at now as having surmounted many before, and here you are. So that would be the take home I would like to leave from this.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. That's a lot of food for thought for today. Thank you so much for accepting to do this interview with us.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you and everyone who's looking Shubh Navaratri, so that when we observe this period, you see it as a transformational period, and every phase allows us to move from negativity in the first 3 days, find light in the second days, and finally get to that stage where your mind is receptive to spiritual enlightenment, and also where you understand that the connection with the divine is never broken, but you just have to ensure that you recognize it within yourself.
Wow, thank you so much. What a wonderful message to end off with. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Narda.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you very
Vindhya.
much.